Welcome to this VA Spotlight series, where we dive deep into the stories and experience of some of the most inspiring leaders shaping our workplace today. So today we are honored and privileged to feature Mr. S.V. Nathan. Nathan's a seasoned HR leader with over 3 decades of rich experience in the domain of HR. Uh, Known for his strategic vision, people-first approach, and commitment to fostering leadership and inclusivity, Nathan has made a remarkable contribution to the field of human resources over the time that he has spent in HR. So let's learn more about this incredible journey of Nathan and the insights and the lessons he has to share with all of us. So welcome to the series, Nathan.
Thank you, Ashim. Very happy to be here with all of you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Most welcome, Nathan. Okay, HR spans over 3 decades, as what I just mentioned, in multiple leadership roles. So what really inspired you to choose HR as a career path, and how has the field evolved since you started, that many years back?
So Ashim, I'll keep you honest here. I never wanted to be in human resources.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be in human resources. I wanted to be an engineer.
Okay.
And I had all the credentials. I had all the marks for it, and I could have gone through some top engineering college, except that we were then in Nagpur and the results had come in late. And even the regional engineering college in Tamil Nadu, where my father got transferred to Chennai, didn't give me admission, saying that you got to wait a year because the Maharashtra quota has been taken. And I was scratching my head wondering what to do. And then I went and did a graduation in mathematics. Did I like mathematics? I say, well, again, I didn't like mathematics. Did I do well in mathematics? I did very well. I did well enough to be the best outgoing student of Vivekananda College, Madras.
Right.
And so it kind of taught me something there, that if you don't like what you don't get what you like what you get. So I wanted engineering, couldn't get it. And then I sat for my CAT exams, and I really thought I was a CAT because I had majored in mathematics and I thought that this is going to be a breeze. I sat in the exam for about 20 minutes and then I just got up and walked away, knowing fully well that this is something where one has to practice. And I knew my Excel or ZAT exam was a couple of weeks later. Then I sat for it. Now, did I want to do human resources? No, there were two opportunities. One is to do business management or to do personnel management. And I was a little divided. Should I do this or that? My uncle was a trade union leader. And he was actually a militant trade union leader. And so I looked at him, and he's not very, very close to me. And I felt that there's got to be a different way of dealing with unions. And he had encouraged me to do business management. And I felt that I should do personnel management, which is why I went to Excel and then chose a career. You won't believe it, Asim, when I was on campus, the first job on campus, we had academically I did reasonably well. I was a topper in my class, and I had 3 offers. One was from ITC. My father was a chain smoker, so I said no more ITCs because for fear that he's going to ask me for a carton of cigarettes every other week. The other one was Hindustan Levers, and the third one was ICI. Hindustan Levers was really looking at me for business. They said, why don't you come over in marketing? And I was not really up to it. I said, I majored in industrial relations and personnel management. I want to work in this area. And then and the people who came in from ICI, Imperial Chemicals Industries, those, they're a class apart. And I got completely bowled over with their simplicity. But every person that I met from that great company was kind of a who's who in those days. And I was drawn to just the excellent way in which the entire interviews were held, including the final one in Calcutta, in a board meeting and so on. So I just felt the process was very, very different. Why did I trundle into human resources? No idea. Of course, human resources has completely changed, and that's the second question that you asked. It's very different. When we started off, it was more about compliance. Making sure that the train ran on time, making sure that we were compliant, the labor laws were adhered to, and of course dealing with the unions and making sure that things were firm, things were also very fair. And you cut your teeth in industrial relations working in a manufacturing organization, which is where I started my career. And I find that over a period of time, at least, so the first half was about compliance. The second half was understanding a lot more about the potential that people hold. And so I got very enamored with the thought that you can really make elephants dance. I joined an organization where an Indian company, I came out of a multinational, I joined an Indian company. And this company had only about 3 or 4 people who were from the big schools that one could talk about. The others were people who were ordinary in some sense, which means they didn't come from all these big bang schools.
Sure.
But you won't believe it, Ashim, the organization was just fantastic because they all schooled from the school of management called Attitude. This is incredible. And I learned a lot. So human resources in the second part or the second leg of my career was a lot about learning about the human potential. And I think I was almost in sync with what was happening in the industry at large. The third decade was a decade of what one can really do in serving clients, and not necessarily in your home country. They could even be overseas. And the value that India could provide. So I was then into what is now called the outsourcing industry, but that was phenomenal because earlier people were looking at us for low-level talent, low-caliber talent.
Right.
But over a period of time, how could you really up this? So I learned in the third leg was a lot about how do you really manage to bring value in the work that you do for your clients. And the last one was just a great opportunity to be part of organizations who are really blue blood in serving clients and understanding the business. So which is the fourth point I wanted to make, is if you didn't understand business, then you would come a cropper. So although people would, people were always fighting for HR at the seat at the table, the seat was always there. But what value did you bring in?
Sure.
Understanding business issues and solving business issues through human resources, that's where if I see the movement, that's where it is moving to, solving business issues through people and helping with the business. Of course, I'm not taking away the fact that you still have to be a people champion and we got to make sure that everything comes good. All that notwithstanding, how do you solve business issues? How do you get better with data? I was fortunate. I was a student of mathematics, so I fell in love with the data. But today, any HR professional worth a salt must understand data, be able to be comfortable with data and use data in the way that they work. So I know it's a long answer to a short question.
But thanks so much, Nathan. You touched upon business and HR. And so in your experience, what do you think are the key qualities of a successful leader, especially in today's environment, which is like changing so rapidly?
I think any leader, whether it's in business, human resources, or any function, I think they need, they need 3 qualities. One is they need to really be very, very curious. I think curiosity is the one that, so When you're curious about what clients want, when you're curious about what customers want, when you're curious about what the world is doing, then you start to get to have a certain vision for yourself and you charge ahead. I think the second quality is for people to be deep thinkers. It's very, very, we almost take this for granted, but the ability for people to step aside, stand back, and really look at not just problem solving, but even what I call as conceptual skills, analytical skills, spatial skills. That's the skill that I would talk about. The last one is we cannot go anywhere in our life, profession, careers if it were not for people. So people skills, absolutely. The soft skills, people would say emotional intelligence, but I would just say simple soft skills, absolutely crucial for a leader. Because even if you have the greatest of ideas, if you don't have people to make sure that they deliver on what you're expecting, then you'll really come across. So I think people skills are absolutely important in today's day.
So you've always advocated for diversity and inclusion in the workplace. So what do you how do you think organizations can do better if they embed inclusion in their culture?
I think, that's a great point that you make about inclusion. I'll spend a minute on inclusion, and then I'll get to the one about gender as well. I think where there is inclusion of a variety and a diverse set of thoughts in any setting, be it meetings, be it discussions, be it tabling of ideas, I think that's a place which is a very fertile ground. Our ability to listen to a contrarian view and co-hold that and still move ahead, I think that's absolutely important. Our ability to therefore include, if there is a person who comes in with a different point of view, our ability to receive that, I think that's important. I believe women are far, far more sharper than men, and you must bear me out. My younger sister was a Mensa member. I mean, she had an IQ, some astronomical IQ. She was an amazing lady. Unfortunately, she could not get into the industry, going to a top B school. She got admissions to that. But dad, in those days, you didn't go to a bank and take loans as you can do for a student loan today. In those days, it didn't exist. So she went. I mean, she could not go to any of these big schools because dad said he couldn't afford it. He already had one son in a B school. The other one was doing his engineering. And so the lot fell on my younger sister to really get the rough end of an experience that stayed with me. Imagine a person who's so intelligent not getting an opportunity. Of course, she did very well. She went and joined a bank, did exceedingly well in her career. But I felt that if you're disenfranchised at some stage in your life and career, that's a complete no-no. If you have an opportunity to do something, we must do it. And so from my personal experience, both my mother, who was again a topper in a school, was prevented by but my grandfather, her father saying, where will I find a suitable bridegroom for you if you go to college? Yeah. So those kinds of thought were people who are hugely capable. And I can tell you a factoid, that women have twice the amount of gray cells as men do. And I'll tell you another one where you have women in leadership. Those organizations do exceedingly well. They bring a certain flavor into conversations. They will start to question even beliefs that have been very strongly held by people. And of course, not to forget the gentle touch that it requires in any organizations to get past hurdles, which are almost seemingly unsurmountable. So people bring in that quality. So I'm a great advocate for women in the workforce, and we've got to do everything in our power to make sure that you have more of them, because it's only good, not only for the organization, but it's very good for the community. It's very good for society.
So, today technology is playing a major role in how organizations are performing or shaping up, and in this rapidly transforming, the workplace for us. So, how do you see HR adapting to these changes, and what role will human connection play in the tech-driven world?
Asim, you raise a fantastic point. I think we're all getting quite taken in with this whole thing around technology. Technology has served and will continue to serve the world's greatest problems. If you remember, and I'm talking about our days, when you talked about computerization, it seemed very big.
Yeah.
Today, you're talking about digitization and digitalization, and it almost seems par for the course. But come in AI, and it transforms the way that HR does work. I don't have to go to sift through 100,000 resumes. An AI agent can do that for me. I can even have people trained, an AI trained bot, which can have interviews done. And it really helps the cause of ferreting through thousands of reams of data to get me the right answer when I have the right technology in place. All these are very fine. But on a day when I feel low, down, and out, am I going to speak to a bot, or do I need a shoulder to possibly cry on, a personal connect? When you go into organizations, the one thing which is most important is being received by another human being, not just another faceless one which says, okay, show your face here, here is your ID, and then you can put this on your handheld device and you can walk through. All this is very good because you're making things a lot seamless. Where is HR in all this? I think what HR needs to be doing is it needs to be embracing technology at a faster nick and pace. What it frees up is a lot of time for us to think and really address some of the larger business issues that we have to address. I think these are important. And there are a lot of people issues that happen because currently many organizations are working in a hybrid mode. Some of them want to work straight, in offices, and they say, okay, 5-day week, it'll not be at home. There is no hybrid. Please come back to work. Organizations are still struggling because people feel it's a lot more comfortable working from home. The reason why organizations are insisting on people coming back is people are losing that personal connect. Ashim, you know this. There were times during the COVID and a little beyond, people joined organizations, they left organizations, they've never seen the front door of an organization, and they would still have in their resumes that they spent 3 years with that firm or that organization. And I still remember a fantastic, so this is just bear me out on this. So The Devil Wears Prada is a fabulous movie. And the first shot of that movie was, there is a great building, a huge monstrosity of a building. And Anne Hathaway looks at that building and with all its splendor, and the big wish and desire was, I'm going to be here. And the last scene it's again that same building, except the person is moving away. Buildings are symbols. And when you get into those buildings, you meet people. Emotions are important. When you're sitting in meetings and when you're doing one of these, webinars of some kind, or when you're doing a VC, or when you have a chat with somebody electronically, what happens is we don't know enough about their body language. And I assume you and I know this. 93% of all what is being communicated is body language. And you can take 50 for gestures and the rest for tone. Only 7% is words. If that is so, being in You just walk into a building and you see people sitting out there. You can ferret out the one person who is not feeling up to the mark. The eyes says it all. So you need to converse. And during the COVID, we started reaching out to people called Each One Reach One. Each One Reach One is I reach you, then you reach somebody else, that one person reaches somebody. And the reason was today we have a lot more about mental wellness. The stress that is caused unwittingly, people just take it upon themselves. And a whole host of things are happening around. For all of this, you need people. And there is the human side. So which is why human resources, he asked me how it has changed. At one point in time, it was human resources where the focus was on resources. It's now come back. In human resources, the focus is now on humans. And so, in a way, I think it's all coming back together.
So you just spoke of a very pertinent point of human touch, Nathan. So I'm sure in your long career, you mentored and guided many professionals in their careers. So what is the one piece of advice you always share with young professionals starting their career in HR or human touch, as we called it?
Oh, yeah. I learned many years ago the 4 magic words that my father said to me as I set out to work. And he says, in the highs and lows of life, remember these 4 words, even this shall pass. And taking yourself very seriously and getting into paroxysms of anxiety at one end or huge happiness at the other, and forgetting that, well, in a normal course of life, many things will happen. Our ability to stand true to the values that we carry and the character, which is more important. I think we put all this together. Just that notion, don't worry, even this shall pass, just gives a perspective, as it did to me when I was a young student getting into the big world of business.
You're actively involved in shaping thought leadership today through forums, through various forums and platforms. So what still drives your passion for continuous learning and sharing your knowledge with others?
Part of this is about just giving back, which is you have learned a lot. I've been very fortunate, very fortunate. I joined great organizations, and I joined organizations which have phenomenal leaders, people that you could learn from, people who would be very gentle with you. Of course, I also had rough bosses, but they were all very caring. They all wish for your success. I've not had a single boss who would want to trip me ever in my life. I've been very fortunate. And I see people who are around me in other organizations, and some people are struggling. And is there a way that I can share a little bit of what happens and what are the hard days, what are the easy days, and how can one navigate these kinds of rapids? That's one end. The other one is, I think it's important to stay relevant, which means that I have to read. I read every day. I want to make sure that I do a little bit of writing. I want to make sure that if I have something to communicate, I do so. I normally do this through stories. So there are a lot of stories that I collect and I share. So what greater opportunity than to get onto these podiums where people give you a chance to share a small slice of your life. Phenomenal.
So as somebody who's achieved so much over these 3+ decades that you've been working, what is the one value or principle that has consistently guided you in your career and life? So as somebody who's achieved so much over these...
My personal credo and motto has been water cuts rock. By which I mean, I think it's important. Personally for me, I don't like to give up. I don't ever give up. I might slow down. Maybe I was running 12 kilometers per hour at that rate. Today I may have slowed down, but I will still run. Right. If I can't run, I will jog. If I can't jog, I will walk at a good nick or maybe even slow down. But the very act of not giving up and persisting, perseverance is important. So if you ask me what is important, perseverance, of course, what are table stakes? Integrity. Never lie. Never utter a single lie because it is always going to catch up with you. Be straight, be honest, give a lot of yourself, give more than you receive. These are the few things that I like to live my life by. I'm fortunate that over the last almost 40 years, I managed to live a part of something that was valuable to me, which is be straight and honest.
So thank you so much for your time today, Nathan, and for sharing your inspiring journey and invaluable insights with us today. So your passion for people, the leadership that you brought, and the innovation truly shines through. And there's so much to learn from your experience. And we've been honored and privileged to have you as part of this VA Spotlight series. And we look forward to seeing the continued impact you'll make in the field of HR and beyond. So, to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay inspired, and we'll see you next time with another inspiring leader. Thank you.